She commanded 70,000 pirates and made the government pay her to stop. Picture this, over 400 warships. An army of 70,000 pirates. A force so massive it dwarfed most national navies of the era. Who commanded this empire of the seas? Blackbeard? Captain Morgan? No. Her name was Cheng I Sao. And by every measurable standard, she was the most successful pirate in human history. She defeated the Chinese Imperial Navy. She humiliated British and Portuguese warships. And when she finally decided to retire, she didn't die in battle or swing from a gallows. She negotiated a surrender so brilliant that the government paid her to stop being a pirate. So why have you probably never heard of her? Today, we're diving into the incredible true story of the woman who conquered the China seas. Chapter 1. The World That Forged a Pirate Queen. To understand how a woman rose to command the largest pirate fleet in history, you need to understand the world she was born into, because it was falling apart. This is China in the late 1700s, during the Qing dynasty. On the surface, everything looked prosperous under Emperor Qianlong. But beneath? Total chaos. The population had exploded to 300 million people, and the government couldn't keep up. While the royal court spent lavishly on personal luxuries, provincial populations struggled. European colonial powers were circling like sharks. The empire was rotting from within, and along the coasts, imperial authority had essentially vanished. Enter Canton, modern-day Guangzhou, the only port where foreigners could trade with China. This place was absolutely wild. British, American, and Dutch merchants were making 400 to 500% profits per voyage buying silk, porcelain, and tea. The Chinese demanded payment in silver, creating a massive trade imbalance. So what did the British do? They started illegally smuggling opium. Canton became a nexus of both legitimate trade and criminal enterprise. The lines between legal and illegal blurred completely. And floating among all this chaos were the flower boats, floating pleasure parlors where our story truly begins. Now, here's the thing about coastal China that made Cheng I Sao's rise even possible. Women there had more freedom than anywhere else in China. While wealthy families could afford to keep women locked indoors following strict Confucian values, working-class women, they were out on the water, piloting boats, selling goods, living their entire lives at sea. Survival demanded it. This was the crucial difference. In a world where women working at sea was normal, a woman commanding a fleet wasn't completely unthinkable. Chapter 2. From flower boat to pirate empire. The woman we know as Cheng I Sao, which literally just means wife of Cheng I, was born around 1775. Her real name? Lost to history. Her early life? Unknown. What we do know is that in 1801, she was working on one of those Canton flower boats when she met and married the pirate leader Cheng I. Now, there's this popular story that he kidnapped her, she attacked him like a banshee, and he was so impressed he offered her half his fleet to marry him. It's a great story. It's also almost certainly fiction. The truth is more strategic. Shortly after their marriage, the couple got hired as mercenaries in the Tay Son Rebellion in Vietnam. This is where everything changed. Their ragtag group of pirates got transformed into a professional unified fighting force. And when the rebellion failed in 1802, they brought those lessons back to China. In 1805, Cheng I pulled off something incredible. He unified the perpetually warring pirate gangs of the South China Sea into a single confederation. 7 fleets, each with its own colored flag. Cheng I was supreme commander. For 2 years, they built this empire together. And then, in 1807, Cheng I suddenly died. This should have been the end of the confederation. Without its leader, everything should have collapsed back into chaos. Instead, this is where Cheng I Sao's legend truly begins. Chapter 3. The widow who became an admiral. Faced with a power vacuum that threatened to shatter everything, Cheng I Sao made a move that was both audacious and brilliant. She claimed supreme command for herself. Now, to modern eyes, this seems radical. A woman in the 1800s taking over a pirate empire? But Cheng I Sao understood something crucial about the culture she was operating in. In seafaring communities, it was standard practice for a surviving spouse to take over the deceased's business. She took this minor cultural custom and scaled it up to revolutionary proportions. To her pirates, her claim appeared legitimate. And it worked. Her first move as commander? Pure political genius. She appointed her adopted son, Chong Pao, as captain of the Red Flag Fleet, the most powerful squadron in the Confederation. Cheng Pao had been captured as a young man by her late husband and groomed for leadership. Eventually, she married him, solidifying their alliance both politically and personally. Together, they didn't just maintain the Confederation, they expanded it. The fleet grew from 50,000 to a staggering 70,000 pirates. But raw numbers weren't enough. Cheng I Sao built something unprecedented, a government at sea. She established a sophisticated protection scheme across the coast. Fishing boats and merchant ships paid fees for safe passage. In return, her fleet guaranteed protection and even offered restitution if attacks occurred. This wasn't simple piracy, this was taxation. She was running a parallel state with steady revenue streams, turning a loose confederation into a sustainable maritime empire. And militarily? She was unstoppable. Chapter 4. The Terror of the China Seas. The Chinese Imperial Navy was supposed to be the most powerful force in Asian waters. Against Cheng I Sao, they were absolutely useless. She led raids on wealthy coastal villages. She defeated every imperial squadron sent against her. The government was so desperate they did something unthinkable. They asked their European rivals for help. First, they borrowed a British warship, the Mercury. It failed. Then they negotiated for 6 Portuguese men of war. Still couldn't stop her. In one legendary battle, her forces were blockaded off Lantau Island. The combined Chinese, British and Portuguese fleet thought they had her trapped. Cantonese officials actually sailed out to watch her expected destruction. Instead, they watched their own ships get annihilated. Cheng I Sao's fleet sailed away completely unharmed. But commanding 70,000 outlaws requires more than military genius, it requires governance. And this is where we see perhaps the most fascinating aspect of her reign, the code. Her fleet operated under a strict code of conduct with severe, uncompromising punishments. Disobeying a superior officer? Death. Going ashore without permission a second time? Death. Stealing from the common plunder before it was divided? Death. But here's what's really remarkable. The rape of female captives was punishable by death. This was radical for the era. If a pirate wanted to marry a captive, he could, but he had to remain faithful to her under penalty of death. Consensual sex outside marriage? The man would be beheaded and the woman thrown overboard with weights. Was this harsh? Absolutely. But Cheng I Sao understood that sexual violence and jealousy would tear her confederation apart. The code eliminated those threats entirely. There's debate about who actually wrote this code. Some sources say Cheng Pao. But one thing is certain, Cheng I Sao was its ultimate enforcer. She had built an empire that rivaled the power of the state itself. But empires don't last forever. Chapter 5. The surrender that was actually a victory. Here's where Cheng I Sao's story becomes truly extraordinary, because unlike virtually every other pirate in history, she didn't end up dead or in chains. In 1810, internal tensions started fracturing the Confederation. Kuopatai, leader of the Black Flag Fleet, the second largest squadron, accepted a government amnesty offer. This threatened to tear everything apart from within. Cheng I Sao recognized reality. Her piratical career couldn't last forever. But rather than wait for things to collapse, she made a characteristically bold decision. She would negotiate her own exit from a position of maximum strength. After an initial meeting between Cheng Pao and government officials went nowhere, Cheng I Sao took personal command of the negotiations. And her approach was pure political theater. She traveled to the Governor-General's headquarters completely unarmed, accompanied only by women and children from her fleet. Think about the psychology of this moment. The officials she was facing had been humiliated by her for years. She'd broken their blockades, destroyed their ships, and proven immune to everything they threw at her. They expected a fearsome warlord. Instead, she arrived like a diplomat conducting a summit between equals. The message was clear: I'm not surrendering out of weakness. I'm offering you a way out of a problem you cannot solve by force. And the terms she secured were absolutely unprecedented. Full amnesty for all her pirates, no jail time. They got to keep all their accumulated wealth. Any pirate who wanted could get a job in the Chinese military. Cheng Pao was given a ranked naval position and even allowed to keep a private fleet under his personal command. And the government paid a large sum to help thousands of former pirates transition to civilian life. Let me repeat that. the government paid her people to stop being pirates. This was her greatest victory. Never before in history had there been a mass-negotiated pirate surrender at this scale. While other pirates got nooses, Cheng I Sao secured government-funded retirements for 70,000 people. The Qing government, having proven completely incapable of stopping her by force, had no choice but to agree. She conquered the seas, and then she conquered the peace. Closing. The forgotten legend. After her triumph, Cheng I Sao transitioned seamlessly to civilian life. She lived with Chong Pao until his death in 1822. After that, accounts vary. Some say she ran a brothel in Canton, others claim she operated a successful gambling house. What's certain is that she continued to prosper, living as a law-abiding citizen until her peaceful death in 1844 at age 69. So we return to our original question, why isn't this woman a household name? The answer lies in a web of cultural biases. Chinese historiography traditionally focused on continental affairs, relegating maritime figures to the margins. Many of her achievements were credited to Chong Pao instead. And perhaps most significantly, Eastern culture never developed the West's romantic pirate hero mythology. There was no cultural framework to transform her from regional menace to global legend. Add to this the scarcity of primary sources. Most of what we know comes from just 2 documents from the period, and you have a recipe for historical obscurity. But make no mistake about what she accomplished. Cheng I Sao was a military genius who defeated imperial navies. She was an administrative mastermind who sustained a force of 70,000 people. She was a political strategist who secured unprecedented terms for her followers. She built a maritime empire that rivaled the power of the state. And she did it all in a world designed to keep women powerless. While men like Blackbeard, who commanded maybe 300 pirates for 2 years, became legends, the woman who commanded 70,000 and retired rich became a footnote. It's time we changed that. Cheng I Sao wasn't just the most successful pirate who ever lived. She's one of the most brilliant military and political leaders in history period. And now you know her name. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more forgotten histories. What other historical figures do you think deserve more recognition? Let me know in the comments below.